Welcome to the Robert D. Gaylor Non-Commissioned Officer Academy Virtual Graduation Ceremony for Class 21-5. I am Technical Sergeant Christopher Zimmerman, your MC for today's ceremony, assisted by Technical Sergeant Samuel Weirton. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand and remain standing for the singing of our national anthem by Senior Airman Bagley, from Band of the West, and the invocation by Chaplain Pacquiao.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please join me in prayer. Most gracious and loving God, we thank you for being with us at this graduation ceremony to give honor to those who have set their hearts to do their best and to achieve excellence. Today we are truly blessed. The best are among us. We pray for our non-commissioned officers, wingmen, leaders, and warriors, and give thanks to you for their hard work, dedication, and service to our country. We also pray and give thanks to their leadership team, instructors, family members, and friends who contributed to their success and helped them succeed. May this graduation day be a celebration of your blessings and grace among them all. May you strengthen them and give them courage as they continue to lead the way and make a difference to our great Air Force. In your precious and holy name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain Pacquiao. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of our Commandant, Chief Master Sergeant Heather Hodge, thank you for attending today's graduation ceremony. We would also like to give a special thank you to our award sponsors, whose contributions are critical to our professional military education program. Our award sponsors are the Air Force Association, Celebrate Excellence, USAA, and Geico Local Office. Today marks our 107th graduation ceremony since 30 March 2006, when the Lackland NCO Academy was renamed the Robert D. Gaylor NCO Academy to honor our 5th Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force. On 6 May, the students of Class 21-5 joined the Robert D. Gaylor NCO Academy virtual course to increase their impact as leaders. Each of them understood that leadership is an honor that must be earned every day, and by their performance over the last 4 weeks, they have proven themselves ready to serve in future leadership roles. At this time, we will recognize the graduates of Class 21-5.
Total Force Crimson's Hustler 6 was comprised of 4 OSI agents and 2 Security Forces members, Special Agent Adriana Vorderbruggen, Special Agent Chester McBride, Special Agent Peter Taub, Special Agent Michael Cinco, Technical Sergeant Joseph Lim, and Staff Sergeant Louis Bonacasa. The members were all assigned to Bagram Air Base's Expeditionary Detachment 2405, Afghanistan. On 21 December 2015, the deadliest day in OSI history, the Hustler 6 went on an outside-the-wire mission in a local village to obtain information critical to the air base's security. While on foot patrol during their mission, a suicide bomber on a motorcycle approached them and detonated, killing all 6 members. The flight is named to honor their memory and remember their sacrifice.
Now introducing Crimson Flight, starting with the flight leader. Sergeants Matthew Wilson, Alexander Anders, Johnny Carson, Logan Cole, Matthew Dom, Latanya Davis, Gregory Green, Blade Hone, Libby Lodato, Sergio Padilla III, Amber Posey, Tyler Shepard, Christopher Sigrist, John Singleton II, and the instructor, Master Sergeant Sylvia Smith.
Mako 30 was a call sign of the SEAL Team 6, whose mission was to take control of the Takugar mountain peak during Operation Anaconda. On March 4, 2002, the team's MH-47 Chinook took heavy fire, and Petty Officer First Class Neil Roberts fell from the back. The Navy SEALs, along with Technical Sergeant John Chapman, attempted to recover Petty Officer First Class Roberts, but fell under heavy fire when they touched down. Technical Sergeant Chapman was shot and believed to be killed, and the SEAL team was forced to retreat. Footage showed Technical Sergeant Chapman still alive and fought for several hours after encountering enemy forces, before he was shot and killed. He was posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor on August 22, 2018. The flight was named to honor Mako 30 and their bravery.
Now introducing Mako Flight, starting with the flight leader. Sergeants Michael Willman, Damon Becenti, Andrew Bullman, James Churchard, Dustin Edwards, Rachel Estrada, Amanda Four, Laura Gayton, Jose Hernandez Amachi, Ashley Hustis, Christopher Lynch, Matthew Ripple, Christopher Sherwood, Daniel Willens, and the instructor, Technical Sergeant Jessica Sloat.
In 2005, while serving in the United States Air Force in Afghanistan, then Technical Sergeant Israel Del Toro was following routine orders when his Humvee rolled over a buried pressure plate mine and exploded. The blast left him in a coma for nearly 3 months, with burns covering the majority of his body. He was given a 15% chance of survival, but Del Toro defied the odds and made a miraculous recovery. Despite the obstacles, Del Toro remained determined and made a promise to himself that he would return to active duty one day. And less than a year after the accident, he was walking and breathing on his own and was awarded the Purple Heart for his bravery in the face of adversity. In 2010, Del Toro achieved his goal and became the first 100% combat-disabled Air Force technician to re-enlist. The flight was named to honor Senior Master Sergeant Del Toro's dedication and sacrifice to service.
Now introducing Del Toro Flight, starting with the flight leader. Sergeants Alexander Greenleaf, Tyrone Daves II, Ashley Dills, Cameron Evans, Cynthia Gomez, Lanning Hansen, Eric Hinton, Heather Jenkins, Mackenzie Jones, Edric Mateo, Keith Quichocho, Roger Quick III, Daniel Shea, Ricky Vickers, Travis Whitmoyer, and the instructor, Technical Sergeant Michael Fontaine.
On his first mission, May 1, 1943, Staff Sergeant Maynard Snuffy Smith saved the crew of a B-17 Flying Fortress over the skies of France after they drifted off course and were taking on gunfire from German fighters. In between helping his wounded comrades, Smith manned the machine guns and fought a raging fire. For nearly 90 minutes, Smith alternated between shooting at attacking fighters, tending to the wounded, and fighting the fire. To starve the fire of fuel, he threw burning debris and exploding ammunition through large holes in the aircraft. After the fire extinguishers were exhausted, Smith finally managed to put the fire out, in part by urinating on it. For his gallantry and bravery, Staff Sergeant Smith was awarded the Medal of Honor. For these same reasons, the flight was named in his honor.
Now introducing Smith Flight, starting with the flight leader. Sergeants Cody Small, Robert Bartkowiak, Nicholas Brooks, Gregory Butler, Vincent Cruz, Maria Gonzalez, Natalie Helwig, Justin Jones, Thomas Karen, Brandon Kidd, Scott Mitchell, William Relford, Gary Schulte, Amber Taylor, and the instructor, Technical Sergeant Vladimir Kalmikov.
On 2 November 2016, an AC-130U gunship, Spooky 43 crew, fought a 2-hour battle over Kunduz, Afghanistan. They were supporting a team of Army Special Forces and Afghan Army commandos who were on late-night mission to capture and kill Taliban leaders. Under heavy hostile resistance, 16 casualties were sustained early in the battle, and the crew fought back, firing danger close to ensure a return and safe landing. The crew successfully eliminated 50 enemy personnel and ensured the lives of friendly forces on the ground. Their heroic efforts granted them numerous air combat medals and accolades, including the McKay Trophy from Air Force Vice Chief of Staff, General Stephen Wilson.
Now introducing Spooky Flight, starting with the flight leader. Sergeants Johnny Bembry, Sean Kavanaugh, Cassandra Durline, David Esquibel, Chaz Henrick, Zane Johnson, Marshall Jones, Cameron Lane, Sheldon Martin, Kyle Melnick, Luis Rivera Cintron, J.C. Thompson, Agape Valentine, Ashley Wilhelmi, and the instructor, Technical Sergeant Adam Gibson.
On December 21, 2013, 3 CV-22 Ospreys took flight to evacuate members of the U.S. Embassy and American citizens from Bor, South Sudan. These aircraft consisted of Air Force and Navy Special Operations Forces, which were under the name Rooster Flight 73, 74, and 75. During their journey, the aircraft and members received heavy damage and injuries due to the surface-to-air fire. In order to save the many injured Special Forces and aircrew members, an Air Force pararescueman and his team set up a flying blood bank, which ultimately saved the lives of 34 members. They were awarded the Air Force McKay Trophy in 2014, which is the highest and most esteemed award of its kind in Air Force history. The flight was named in honor of their heroism.
Now introducing Rooster Flight, starting with the flight leader. Sergeants William Harrison, Courtney Anderson, Kyle Basmajin, Danielle Carter, Jabba Javleshvili, Carlos Cortez, Melissa Ingbith, Eric Enix, Victoria Gable, Allison Hahn, Nathan Hollybaugh, Grant Kennedy, Nicholas Norris, Matthew Russell, Lori Smith, and the instructor, Master Sergeant Kurt Ali.
On 27 April 2013, 4 airmen took off from Kandahar Air Base, Afghanistan, on board the MC-12W, call sign Independence 8, in support of Project Liberty. The crew was tasked with finding and tracking high-value enemy combatants, as well as providing overwatch for ground forces, enabling coalition forces to return home alive and safe. The mission was the first flight in Afghanistan and first combat flight in an MC-12 for pilot Captain Reed Nishizuku. At 12:40 a.m., Independence 8 encountered heavy clouds, and in their attempt to evade the weather, dramatically lost airspeed and found themselves in an unrecoverable stall. All 4 combat heroes gave their lives in service to their country on that morning. The flight was named to honor their sacrifice.
Now introducing Independence Flight, starting with the flight leader. Sergeants Sean Nelson, David Acevedo, Jeremy Anderson, Robert Esch, William Fidmont, Johnny Hakim, Sheena Halifko, Jonathan Jones, Blake Marr, Kyle Mason, Jessica Nowotny, Patrick Pagnotta, Troy Stumpf, Tanner Thomas, and the instructor, Technical Sergeant Corey Woods.
On 9 August 1945, Boxcar, sometimes called Boxcar, piloted by the 393rd Bombardment Squadron's commander, Major Charles W. Sweeney, dropped the Fat Man nuclear bomb with a blast yield equivalent to 21 kilotons of TNT over the city of Nagasaki. About 44% of the city was destroyed. 35,000 people were killed and 60,000 injured. This was the second and last nuclear attack in history. Boxcar is now on permanent display to the National Museum of the United States Air Force, Dayton, Ohio, next to a replica of a Fat Man.
Now introducing Boxcar Flight, starting with the flight leader. Sergeants Stacy Demapon, Raymond Bird, Harry Castaneda, Diana Sid, Penny Ellis, Sarah Giard, Philip Greeno, Aaron Hale, Timothy Marr, Patty Morales, Joshua Ryan, Darius Schertz, Zachary Simmons, Christopher Todero, Jason Venable, and the instructor, Master Sergeant Kristen Peck.
Titan Flight is named in honor of combat controllers who have made the ultimate sacrifice. Titan was a call sign used by combat controllers during Operation Iraqi Freedom and is held in high regard. Some of the military's most difficult missions are carried out by combat controller specialists who operate in remote and often hostile areas. Acting as a one-man attachment to other special forces teams, these highly specialized airmen are trained in a wide range of skills, including scuba, parachuting, and snowmobiling, as well as being FAA-certified air traffic controllers in order to establish air control and provide combat support missions all over the globe.
Now introducing Titan Flight, starting with the flight leader. Sergeants Michael Shin, Tiffany Garcia, Antonia Harris, Jeffrey Heinert, Joseph Hughes, Solomon Jackson, Jody King, Jared Minton, Aiden Moreno, Lisa Sandal, James Scullion, Rashad Stewart, Christopher Stottsberry, and the instructor, Master Sergeant Stephen Elliott.
On 11 March 2004, Chief Master Sergeant Ramon CZ Colon Lopez was on a helicopter that began taking small arms fire. CZ, then a senior master sergeant, and his team killed 2 enemies, captured 10 combatants, and ensured the security of 3 additional helicopters. For his actions, he became one of the first recipients of the Air Force Combat Action Medal in 2007, as well as being the only Hispanic American to receive the honor. Chief Colon Lopez is currently the Senior Enlisted Advisor of the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. This is the highest ranking enlisted member in the Department of Defense. He is the first Air Force member in the position. The flight was named to honor his bravery and service to our force.
Now introducing CZ Flight, starting with the flight leader. Sergeants James Getter, Elizabeth Barnett, Kayla Cirillo, Jonathan Craker, Del Angel Escamilla, Xavier McCrae, Charles Morgan, Monica Moya, Colt Poe, Grant Sanders, Gilbert Sandoval, Malcolm Jerome Stone, Sean Williams, Natalie Zamudio, and the instructor, Technical Sergeant Nick Sanzoni.
Nemo A-534 served in the United States Air Force during the Vietnam War. On December 4, 1966, Nemo was released to attack the Viet Cong during the night. In the process, he lost an eye as well as being shot in the nose. Despite those injuries, he saved the life of his handler, Airman Robert A. Thronberg, by shielding his body until medical help arrived. He was one of the first K-9 units to be retired and returned to the United States. Nemo was memorialized and honored with a permanent kennel and stone at Lackland Air Force Base.
Now introducing Nemo Flight, starting with the flight leader. Sergeants: Autumn Murphy, Delvin Bradley, William Bird, Gary Chappa, Jessica Emmerich, Jeremy Ford, Crystal Jansen, Mark Kali, Maria Manning, Israel Martinez, Matthew Mosley, Jonathan Pobans, Alex Schuster, Aaron Surois, and the instructor, Master Sergeant Justin Cunningham.
Senior Master Sergeant Robert McAllister served 28 years in the Air Force as a firefighter. However, he amassed over 50 years of military and government service. Over the course of his Air Force career, McAllister worked virtually every position the fire service had to offer. During his multiple tours in Vietnam, he was directly responsible for saving the lives of 17 airmen and recovering several of those killed in action. He earned many prestigious medals, decorations, and awards for over 1,155 combat missions. The flight was named to honor Senior Master Sergeant Robert McAllister's dedication to the mission and his bravery.
Now introducing McAllister Flight, starting with the flight leader. Sergeants Christopher Alls, Samuel Anderson, Maximilian Bowes, Nathan Cowan, Rahima Dawson, Justin Jorgensen, Nathaniel Madrid, Myrin McIntosh, Jamie Palmer, Nathan Poulin, Deidre Sheehy, Ryan Stearns, Michael Tinnell, Jared Utzi, and the instructor, Technical Sergeant David Bridges.
On January 5, 2012, at approximately 4 p.m., just south of a former insurgent stronghold called Musa Kala in Helmand Province, Team 5 call sign Tripwire maneuvered north on a deliberate route clearance mission to secure the freedom of movement for coalition forces and Afghan citizens. Their vehicle was targeted by a massive underbelly improvised explosive device, fatally wounding the EOD team. Lost in the attack was Technical Sergeant Matt Schwartz from F.E. Warren Air Force Base, Airman First Class Matt Seidler from Peterson Air Force Base, and Senior Airman Brian Bell from Barksdale Air Force Base. The flight was named to honor their sacrifice.
Now introducing Tripwire Flight, starting with the flight leader. Sergeants: Rocky Locke, Louis Bedoya, June Bell, Cody Berry, Kelsey Brooksbank, Victor Cochrane, Jason Cumpian, Jonathan Gamboa, Stephanie Gardner, Ryan Labatt, Bradley Rayburn, Rachel Revels, Devin Richardson, Michael Stanley, Kyle Watson, and the instructor, Technical Sergeant Christopher Lawley.
Chief Master Sergeant Dorothy Dottie Holmes blazed many trails during her 3 decades in the Air Force. She was the first black woman to reach the Air Force's highest enlisted rank. She was the first woman to retire with 30 years of continuous service in the Air Force, and she was the first female Chief Master Sergeant to be assigned to the Air Force Academy. The flight was named to honor Chief Holmes' tenacity and place in military history.
Now introducing Dottie Flight, starting with the flight leader, Sergeants Brenda Gomez, Clinton Biddix, Crystal Breedis, Fadi Shreem, Jackson DeBoard, Nathaniel Fisher, Benjamin Haas, Clarence Hall, Matthew Howard Darling, David Hurlbert, Robert Longoria, Kelvin Mills, Robert Sappington, Zachary Varing, and the instructor, Technical Sergeant Samuel Weirton.
Now introducing Oscar Flight, starting with the flight leader. Sergeants Corey Gallagher, Robert Allen, Cameron Ash, Antonio Balderas, Kelvin Baldwin, Michael Bellantoni, Nicholas Chung, Stephanie James, Nicole McQueen, Eric Nasich, Rachel Ali, Carl Santos, Damian Scott, Michaela Wilson, Alan Wright, and the instructor, Technical Sergeant Michael Napier.
Oscar Flight is also the winner of our Hot Fries Honor Flight competition. Congratulations, Oscar Flight. Now introducing Papa Flight, starting with the flight leader. Sergeants Isaac James, Kylan Betcho, Farron Chance, Darius Coleman, Daniel George, Joseph Jones, William Kiss, Jesse LaBelle, Joshua Lizalda, Janet Lopez, Michael Romo, Nasia Tolinchi, Monique Travis, Thomas Turner, Monica Vega, and the instructor, Technical Sergeant Cody Gibson.
Now introducing Quebec Flight, starting with the flight leader. Sergeants Vlandon Johnson, Stephen Artery, Monique Bienvenue, George Compton, Manuel Cordova, Cody Johnston, James Kendrick, Quincy Kenton, Colby Kingery, Kenia Alanin, Brent Ratcliffe, Taylor Rayburn, Trevor Sanchez, Tiara Uranaga, and the instructors, Master Sergeant Manuel Gamboa.
Now introducing Romeo Flight, starting with the flight leader. Sergeants David Lougheed, Evan Anglisi, Howard Caneas, Ethan Cross, Jared Crown, Nicholas Finley, Hunter Hayes, Jasmine Jones, Jennifer Keel, Jerry Keys, Brandon McKeever, Christopher Monroe, Martina Morterry, Natasha Rodriguez, David Vasquez Valez, and the instructor, Technical Sergeant Luz V. Minda Andrews.
Now introducing Sierra Flight, starting with the flight leader. Sergeants: Ashley Walker, Jacob Caron, Howard Daniels, Danielle Durand, Jeffrey Goldman, Wesley Hayes, Alicia Hensler, Christian Olguin, Jared Jones, Ray Knickerbocker, Courtney Lee, Stefan Luke, Dustin Pavlenko, Natlin Cease, Jamie Stock, and the instructor, Technical Sergeant Valerie Stabler.
Now introducing Tango Flight, starting with the flight leader. Sergeants: Ethan Maharis, Joshua Berardo, Leah Burnett, Sean C., Mark Cruz, Derek Douglas, Jamela Greer, Christopher Holmes, Matthew Marshall, Stephen Menken, Alexis Plumley, Kathleen Raquel Santos, William Stambaugh, Thomas Warda, and the instructor, Technical Sergeant Lashana Reese.
Congratulations, graduates! There is no doubt that the greatest reward gained from enlisted PME is the application of learned leadership principles into our operational Air Force. However, during the course of this class, certain students excelled academically and as leaders. The Distinguished Graduate, Academic Achievement, Commandant's, and John L. Levito Awards recognize their merit. Each award is engraved with a distinctive quote from our Academy's namesake, the 5th Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, Robert D. Gaylor. Awards will be sent to recipients' leadership for formal presentation. At this time, we will present our Distinguished Graduate Awards. The Air Force Association, our awards sponsor, has donated a one-year membership to each of our distinguished graduates. The Distinguished Graduate Award is awarded to the students ranking in the top 10% of the class. These awards are based on both demonstrated leadership and academic excellence. The inscription on the award reads, Aptitude defines what you are able to do. Motivation defines what you will do. Attitude defines how well you do it. Opportunity, when the door opens and they call your name. Our distinguished graduates are
Staff Sergeant Sheena Halifko. Sergeant Halifko is a member of the 377th Force Support Squadron, Kirtland Air Force Base, New Mexico.
Technical Sergeant Stacy Demapon. Sergeant Demapon is a member of the 355th Force Support Squadron, Davis Mountain Air Force Base, Arizona.
Technical Sergeant Matthew Wilson.
Technical Sergeant James Getter. Sergeant Getter is a member of the 331st Training Squadron, Joint Base San Antonio, Lackland, Texas.
Staff Sergeant Mariah Manning. Sergeant Manning is a member of Headquarters AETC A1, Joint Base San Antonio, Randolph, Texas.
Technical Sergeant Autumn Murphy. Sergeant Murphy is a member of the 344th Training Squadron, Joint Base San Antonio, Lackland, Texas.
Technical Sergeant Michael Tinnell. Sergeant Tinnell is a member of OSI Detachment 102, Westover Air Reserve Base, Massachusetts.
Technical Sergeant Kelvin Baldwin. Sergeant Baldwin is a member of Personal Property Activity Headquarters, Joint Base San Antonio, Randolph, Texas.
Technical Sergeant Matthew Howard Darling. Sergeant Howard Darling is a member of the 383rd Training Squadron, Joint Base San Antonio, Fort Sam Houston, Texas.
Technical Sergeant Louis Bedoya. Sergeant Bedoya is a member of the 635th Material Maintenance Squadron, Holloman Air Force Base, New Mexico.
Technical Sergeant Corey Gallagher. Sergeant Gallagher is a member of the 326th Training Squadron, Joint Base San Antonio, Lackland, Texas.
Technical Sergeant Quincy Kenton. Sergeant Kenton is a member of the 321st Training Squadron, Joint Base San Antonio, Lackland, Texas.
Technical Sergeant Tierra Uranaga. Sergeant Uranaga is a member of the 727th Special Operations Maintenance Squadron, Cannon Air Force Base, New Mexico.
Technical Sergeant David Vasquez Velez. Sergeant Vasquez Velez is a member of the 47th Operations Support Squadron, Laughlin Air Force Base, Texas.
Technical Sergeant Jacob Karen. Sergeant Karen is a member of the 57th Intelligence Center, Joint Base San Antonio, Lackland, Texas.
Technical Sergeant Jeffrey Gauman. Sergeant Gauman is a member of the 313th Training Squadron, Goodfellow Air Force Base, Texas.
Technical Sergeant Amanda Four. Sergeant Four is a member of the 548th Operations Support Squadron, Beale Air Force Base, California.
Technical Sergeant Matthew Ripple. Sergeant Ripple is a member of the 58th Operations Support Squadron, Kirtland Air Force Base, New Mexico.
Technical Sergeant Derek Douglas. Sergeant Douglas is a member of the 737th Training Support Squadron, Joint Base San Antonio, Lackland, Texas.
Technical Sergeant Kyle Mason. Sergeant Mason is a member of the 802nd Security Forces Squadron, Joint Base San Antonio, Lackland, Texas.
Technical Sergeant Cody Small. Sergeant Small is a member of the 49th Logistics Readiness Squadron, Holloman Air Force Base, New Mexico.
Technical Sergeant Kyle Melnick. Sergeant Melnick is a member of OSI Detachment 216, Seymour Johnson Air Force Base, North Carolina.
Technical Sergeant Kyle Bosmagen. Sergeant Bosmagen is a member of the 373rd Training Squadron, Cannon Air Force Base, New Mexico.
Technical Sergeant Patty Morales. Sergeant Morales is a member of the 439th Logistics Readiness Squadron, Westover Air Reserve Base, Massachusetts.
Technical Sergeant Jeffrey Heinert. Sergeant Heinert is a member of the OSI Detachment 404, Joint Base San Antonio, Randolph, Texas.
Technical Sergeant Solomon Jackson. Sergeant Jackson is a member of the 49th Security Forces Squadron, Holloman Air Force Base, New Mexico.
Technical Sergeant Cody Berry. Sergeant Berry is a member of the 343rd Training Squadron, Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri.
Technical Sergeant Alexander Greenleaf. Sergeant Greenleaf is a member of the 312th Training Squadron, Goodfellow Air Force Base, Texas. We will now present the Academic Achievement Award, which is sponsored by Celebrate Excellence. The Academic Achievement Award denotes excellence as a scholar and is presented to the student with the highest academic standing. The inscription on the award reads, "Increase your impact." The Class 21-5 Academic Achievement Award recipient is
Technical Sergeant Alexander Greenleaf. Sergeant Greenleaf is a member of the 312th Training Squadron, Goodfellow Air Force Base, Texas.
Our next award is the Commandant's Award, sponsored by USAA. The Commandant's Award is presented to the student who consistently displayed leadership characterized by integrity first, service before self, and excellence in all we do. The recipient has truly proven to be a leader of a legacy recognized by classmates, instructors, and the Commandant. The inscription on the award reads, "Leaders set goals. They establish the line of march. They give direction, and they give the vision to the workforce."
The nominees are, from Crimson Flight, Technical Sergeant Matthew Wilson. From Del Toro Flight, Technical Sergeant Alexander Greenleaf. From Smith Flight, Technical Sergeant Cody Small. From Spooky Flight, Technical Sergeant Kyle Melnick. From Rooster Flight, Technical Sergeant Kyle Bosmagen. From Boxcar Flight, Technical Sergeant Stacy Demipon. From Dottie Flight, Technical Sergeant Matthew Howard Darling. From Quebec Flight, Technical Sergeant Quincy Kenton. The recipient of the Commandant's Award is Technical Sergeant Kyle Bosmagen. Sergeant Bosmagen, a member of the 373rd Training Squadron, Cannon Air Force Base, New Mexico.
Our final award presentation is the John L. Levito Award. The John L. Levito Award is the most prestigious award any graduate can receive while attending any enlisted professional military education course. The recipient of this award has proven to be the most distinguished graduate, excelling in all phases of academics and leadership. The inscription on the award reads, "Training and discipline. I would rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it." This award is sponsored by Mr. Musselwhite of Geico Local Office. The John L. Levito Award recipient for Class 21-5 is
Technical Sergeant Kylan Betcho. Sergeant Betcho is a member of the 366 Operations Support Squadron, Mountain Home Air Force Base, Idaho.
Congratulations, graduates. At this time, I'd like to turn the floor over to Chief Hodge for her closing comments.
Good afternoon. I would like to thank all of the commanders, chiefs, first sergeants, supervisors, and teammates of our graduates for joining us today. It means so much that you have taken the time out of your day to help celebrate their career milestone. Next, a thank you to all of our sponsors, USAA, Air Force Association, Geico Local Office, and Celebrate Excellence for your continued support of the Gaylor NCO Academy and our awards program, even throughout this pandemic. To the families of our graduates, we know that just because your loved one didn't go TDY for a month, it doesn't mean that you didn't sacrifice to aid their success. You were tasked with providing them the time and a quiet space to attend this course. And anyone who has ever been in a Zoom or Teams meeting knows, with babies crying, doors slamming, and dogs barking, that is no small task. Not just during this course, but throughout our careers, we could not accomplish our missions without your incredible support and sacrifices, so we thank you. To my incredible cadre of instructors, Sean Anker, author and founder of Good Think Inc., said, "The most successful people see adversity not as a stumbling block, but as a stepping stone to greatness." When this pandemic hit, you saw the challenge of creating and delivering a virtual course as a stepping stone rather than a stumbling block. And today marks our 8th virtual graduation. This graduation also marks my 27th and last as your commandant. It has been the honor of my career to work with and for all of you. I applaud each of you for your devotion to developing the future of our Air Force. Finally, to the students of Class 21-5, the past year and a half have been witness to many milestones. The launching of the U.S. Space Force, the appointments of our first ever African American Chief of Staff, and first ever female Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, the election of our first female African American and South Asian American Vice President of the United States. But as we know, these times have also presented challenges, the likes of which we have never seen. So as you celebrate your own milestone today, use what you've learned in this course, from the curriculum and your conversations with each other, to be the leaders that we need you to be, now more than ever. Congratulations, graduates, and once again, thank you to all in attendance.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Robert D. Gaylor Non-Commissioned Officer Academy would like to thank you for sharing this very special occasion with our graduates. This concludes today's program. Thank you.